One approach might be the right one and the other one might be the right one. But I mean, maybe at some point we might converge further with these approaches. I mean, as things develop, and I mean, sometimes there's been asked the question, is there a natural development towards institutional accreditation, for instance? Is there a natural development to, over time, establishing the necessary confidence that would allow an institutional quality assurance system? So maybe in 10, 20 years, maybe there could be conversions in that respect, but I wouldn't see it so soon.
It's good that the European agencies have one voice already.
That's true.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Flick, you are the president of the European Register of Quality Assurance Agencies, and you have given us a perspective on the variety, on the diversity of quality assurance concepts in Europe. Now I will give the floor to Professor Karl Holm from the FINHEC, the Finnish Quality Assurance Agency.
This is really a hot place, exactly here. So can I take my... Yeah, of course. I want to take my coat, nothing else. There's a Nordic approach. You have the remote. Yeah, but I tried to stand, I hope, yeah. So I hope you can hear me. My name is Karl Holm. I'm representing Finnish Higher Education Alliance in Council, FINHEC. It's a relatively small, not a tiny one, but really a small agency in Finland. Finland is a relatively small country as well. We have only 5.3 million inhabitants. At the moment we have something like 45 universities or higher education institutions. So relatively speaking, there are a lot of institutions still in Finland. But main questions are merging universities, the location of these institutions and so forth. We are talking about regional planning. The whole country should be covered with institutional higher education. So they are the big higher education policy questions we are facing in Finland at the moment. And I see that FINHEC, as a small agency, has a bigger part in this process as well. Because we are talking about the quality, and without this discussion quality, these things cannot be made, at least not that easily. But I'm very pleased with this invitation to come here. Believe me or not, this is the first time in Romania for me. Definitely not the last one. And when I left yesterday Helsinki, the difference between the temperatures here now in Helsinki is exactly 22 degrees. And you can guess which direction, up or down. Well, actually I made this crucial mistake early this week also, that when I prepared my slides for this presentation, I made them too many. This is the usual case, because the idea about what to talk here was quite broad, so I couldn't really measure up what I'm going to do. So I prepared too many, but I tried to skip them. So I do have some examples of learning outcome procedures. I will talk about something about quality assurance approaches in general, something about the national vision, and our main product, which is audit, institutional audit product, and also the centers of excellence, which is another big method we are following in Finland. Well, I was actually, there have been big questions now coming on. Now, do you promise that universities, you don't know how do the university exist any more than 10 years, you promised us?
No, 10 years will be for sure.
For sure, yeah, but after that, no, that's for sure. And what is the European kind of a dimension of these institutions and universities, higher education and quality and so forth? And I feel European. It's a big country, but instead of always talking about this diversity and we are respecting all these aspects, we could at least, I think, to take us one step forward and think about how to make this, not harmonizing, not unifying totally, but doing something more perhaps deeply together, find good solutions for quality assurance. And I was actually just looking at these two booklets here. This is yours, which I just saw now, and this is actually an older version of ENQA papers. And you see the similarities. It is exactly the same picture. Iconographically, it's the same picture. I suppose that this is the main building of the University of Helsinki, and this is yours. So what we are doing here, that we are trying to establish our systems using the same cultural background. Of course, they look both like panthers. It's another question. So learning outcomes. Actually, why I have this booklet here is this paper by ENQA. It was made by Nordic countries now 3 years ago. And the title is Learning Outcomes, Common Framework, Different Approaches to Evaluation Learning Outcomes in the Nordic Countries. And here is mention of FinHEG, so 3 years ago, that the Finnish Higher Education Council does not yet have an official view on the use of learning outcomes in evaluations. They have a representative in the working group which produces and so on and so on. And this situation has not changed, I have to say. The paper tries to emphasize that, okay, we are doing the business, we are doing all the time, going ahead, but nothing is really happening, I have to say. But the question is that do we need to do something for the learning outcomes? Because we have a different kind of approaches to bring us the quality, what we are all doing. So the other general reasons why to use learning outcomes, how to react for the learning outcomes. So promote communication between teachers and so on. So these are the common ones. And the threat from point of the view of quality assurance, a very formal way of defining learning outcomes. Possibility to become a bond for learning, like the Finnish experience on goal descriptions from 1970s. So we are a little bit afraid of using this kind of a tool to do something. Many things has been done, even in Finland. There are individual study plans, every new student and so on. So everyone knows what to do. But there's a big difference between these universities. In Finland we have a dual system. We have this kind of an old research universities, and then we have the University of Applied Sciences. So among these, for example, there's a big difference. And the student point of view is that this is much better made in this University of Applied Sciences, for example. These old universities just thinking what to do with learning outcomes. So there is a discussion still going on about learning outcomes. Many positive effects can already be seen. If it's not too complicated, learning outcomes give a better understanding of the subject, better information on courses and programs, that's for sure. Development of teaching methods and so on. It is useful also in the feedback mechanism, and student assesses their education and learning in relation to them. And there are some challenges for quality assurance from the Finnish point of view. So curricula accepted that faculties a common change in the academic culture. Learning outcomes could be used in program accreditation, but decision is starting education made by the Ministry of Education, not by the FinHEG. So our role is a little bit different there. Connection with the quality audits. And this, please do not try to read it, but this is just an example of a learning outcome in one course, which has been given in the University of Turku, which is one of those big all the universities. The title is 20th Century Baltic Sea Region at the Crossroads of History, Politics, Culture and Memory. Some technical data, there are objectives and learning outcomes, and descriptions, and mode of teaching. So this is usually the basic information a single student can have from each course. Nothing else. But from our point of view, the crucial question is that, okay, but how to make it sure afterwards that this person has learned it or achieved this. And there is not a real single method for this kind of, at least in Finland. This is for sure. Because we are monitoring the general system, not the single courses. So the basic is okay, but the kind of outcomes perhaps not. If you Google, you might end up in different pages, but this is only one, and it happens to be, just by chance, the Kansas City, Kansas Community College in Kansas, United States. And they have, for example, they have divided these learning outcomes for 6 different